let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where a guy came on strong, said all the right things, made you feel special, gave you butterflies, and then disappeared? Or worse, stayed, but slowly pulled back, breadcrumbed you, and left you questioning your worth? I've spoken to thousands of women around the world, smart, successful, beautiful, loving women, and do you know what I keep hearing? I feel like I got played. But here's what I want you to understand. You didn't get played because you're weak. You didn't get played because you're not enough. You got played because no one ever taught you how to read what his actions are actually saying. You were never shown how to tell the difference between a guy who's interested in you and a guy who's just interested in what he can get from you. And that's the shift. Because once you understand how men think, how they bond, how they fall in love, and more importantly, how to spot the ones who are emotionally unavailable or manipulative, you'll never get played again. Not because there won't be players out there. Trust me, there will be, but because you'll stop entertaining them. You'll spot the red flags early. You'll know when to walk, when to wait, and when a man's actually worth your time. This talk isn't about blaming men. It's about empowering you so you stop negotiating for love and start choosing it from a place of clarity and confidence. Because when you understand men, you don't need to fear them. You just learn how to navigate the game without ever getting played. You've probably been taught that if you just say the right things, show enough interest, be kind, affectionate, emotionally available, and tell a man how much you care, that will make him fall for you. You think, if I love him the right way, he'll stay. But here's the truth that will change the way you date forever. Men don't fall in love because of words. Fall in love through investment. Let me explain what that means. Love doesn't grow when someone receives more. It grows when they give more. That sounds backwards, right? But think about it. We don't fall in love with the people who do the most for us. We fall for the people we put the most effort into. When we invest our time, energy, and vulnerability into someone, that's when we begin to value the connection. So when you meet a guy and you give and give and give, you think you're winning him over. But if he's not giving back, if he's not actively investing in the relationship too, then all you're doing is raising your level of attachment, not his. Here's the shift. If you want a man to truly value and fall for you, you have to leave room for invest. That means you can't always be the one making the plans. You can't always be the one texting first, initiating the deep conversations, making the effort, or rescuing the vibe when he starts pulling away. Every time you carry the connection by yourself, he gets a free ride. And worse, he learns that you'll stay even if he doesn't step up. Now, I'm not saying play games or sit back with your arms folded. Connection is a two-way street. What I'm saying is you have to create space for him to show up. And if he doesn't, you have your answer. Men become emotionally invested in the people they take consistent action for. That's how their feelings grow. It's in the calling, the showing up, the planning, the caring, the prioritizing. And if he's not doing any of that, then it's not because he's bad at texting or afraid of his feelings. It's because he doesn't feel a need to. You've already made the relationship easy, too easy. Think of it like this. When someone works hard to earn something, they don't take it for granted. A man values the connection that costs him something. Effort, time, emotional growth. That doesn't mean you need to be cold, distant, or play hard to get. It means you value yourself enough to allow space for someone to rise to the occasion. It's not about being difficult. It's about being high standard. It's about not rushing in with all your emotional generosity when someone hasn't even shown they deserve it yet. Because your energy, your time, your presence, that's a privilege, not a given. The biggest mistake I see is when a woman meets a guy with potential and instead of letting things unfold, she jumps in full throttle. She gives all of herself emotionally, hoping he'll do the same in return, but she doesn't notice she's already doing all the work. And now she's emotionally attached to someone who hasn't actually earned that place in her life. So the next time you're wondering if a man really likes you, stop analyzing his compliments. Stop rereading his texts. Look at his investment. What has he done to build this connection? What is he willing to do to keep it? That's where love grows. Because if he's not investing in you, he's not falling for you. And if you're investing in him more than he is in you, he's not the one you should be falling for either. Let's talk about one of the most dangerous traps in dating: confusion. He texts sometimes, but not always. He says he really likes you but never makes concrete plans. He acts romantic one day and distant the next. And you keep wondering, what does this mean? Is he shy? Is he scared? Does he just need time? Here's the truth. If a man is confusing you, he's not that into you. Now, I know that might sting a little, but I want you to really take that in, because a lot of women spend weeks, months, even years trying to decode a man's mixed signals. And during that time, ignore their own needs. They stop trusting their intuition and they start playing a game they were never meant to be in. Here's what you need to understand. Men are actually very simple when they want something. If a man is genuinely interested, he doesn't leave you guessing. He shows up, he makes plans, he calls, he texts, he pursues, not in a way that's performative, but in a way that feels clear, steady, and intentional. Confusion isn't chemistry, it's a warning sign. But too often, we mistake inconsistency for emotional depth. We think he must be dealing with something deep. Maybe I just need to be more patient, more understanding, more available. No, the right guy won't require you to become less secure in order to make the relationship work. There's a lie we've been sold that if someone is hard to read, it means they're mysterious or complex. But the reality is confusion is usually a cover for avoidance, emotional unavailability, or a lack of genuine interest. Think about it. If you had to spend 3 hours with someone who made you feel unsure, anxious, and off balance, would you walk away from that time feeling loved? Would you walk away feeling secure? Probably not. And yet, many women keep engaging with confusing men, hoping that clarity is just around the corner. Let me say this as clearly as I can. When a man wants to be with you, you will know. You won't need to dig through his social media for clues. You won't have to ask your friends to help you decipher his last message. You won't be analyzing his tone, his pauses, or his weird disappearing act after an amazing night, because his actions will speak for themselves. Consistency is clarity, and clarity is love. You shouldn't have to beg for that. You shouldn't have to chase it. A man who truly values you will do what it takes to make you feel secure in his presence. Not because you demand it, but because he wants to. When someone is emotionally available, they show up in a way that says, I see you, I respect you, I want you to feel safe with me. That's how you know it's real. The guy who leaves you wondering, second, guessing, doubting, replaying conversations over and over in your head, that's not the guy who's choosing you. That's the guy who's keeping you on a string because he enjoys the attention, or worse, because he doesn't know what he wants and expects you to wait around while he figures it out. Don't wait for someone to wake up and realize your worth. You're not here to audition for a role in someone else's life. You're here to live fully, love deeply, and receive that same energy in return. So the next time a man confuses you, let that be your answer. If it's unclear, it's a no. Let's bust one of the biggest myths in dating, one that causes so much pain and confusion. Men don't commit to the best woman. They commit to the woman who makes them feel their best. Now, before you jump to conclusions, let's be clear. This doesn't mean you should shrink yourself to boost a man's ego. It doesn't mean you need to flatter him constantly, agree with everything he says, or become his personal therapist. That's not the point. What this means is that emotional connection, the kind that leads to real, lasting commitment, is less about who you are on paper and more about how he feels when he's around you. Let's say you're smart, beautiful, successful, everything that would check every box for most people, and yet he still pulls away, he still doesn't choose you. That hurts, right? You think, what did I do wrong? Why wasn't I enough? But the truth is, it's not about how impressive you are, it's about what version of himself he becomes when he's with you. A man commits when he feels good in your presence, not because he's intimidated by you, but because you bring out a part of him that feels seen, accepted, and inspired. You create a space where he can be real, where he doesn't feel judged, pressured, or like he's being constantly tested. He feels safe, and that safety is rare. This is why men sometimes stay with women who don't seem to bring much to the table, at least externally, because those women made them feel like men. They felt needed, respected, admired. Meanwhile, someone else, maybe someone more deal on the surface, made them feel like they were always falling short, like they were never enough. And that's not a criticism of you. That's a window into how connection actually works. So here's the power move. Don't focus on proving how amazing you are. Don't walk into dates trying to sell yourself like a product. Don't rattle off your accomplishments hoping he'll be impressed enough to stay. You're not a rare somme. You're not a checklist. Instead, focus on being present. Be the person who makes him feel seen. Who listens really listens, not just to respond, but to understand. Be the woman who can be strong, but also vulnerable. The woman who can laugh at herself, who isn't performing perfection, who knows her worth and doesn't need to chase approval. And this is crucial. Notice how you feel when you're with him. Do you feel free? Do you feel like your best self? Or do you feel like you're constantly trying to earn his affection, prove your value, or avoid being too much? Because just like men, you should be choosing the person who brings out the best in you. You should feel light, grounded, energized, not anxious, small, or confused. So many women waste their time trying to be the best, the smartest, the prettiest, the most supportive, the most independent. And while those are beautiful qualities, they won't matter to the wrong man. The right man, he's not looking for perfect. He's looking for real. He's looking for that feeling, the feeling of, I don't want to be anywhere else but here with her. That's the energy that creates connection. That's what leads to commitment. So don't ask, am I enough for him? Start asking, do I feel like my best self around him? Because the woman who makes a man feel like the best version of himself while staying true to her best version, that's the woman he won't want to lose. Let's talk about something that can completely change the way you experience relationships, not just romantic ones, but all of them boundaries. Now, I know the word boundaries doesn't sound sexy. It sounds like rules, walls, restrictions. But let me reframe it for you. Boundaries aren't about control. They're about protection. And more importantly, boundaries are not punishments for other people. They're a reflection of how much you respect yourself. One of the most painful patterns I see is when a woman starts compromising her standards in the name of understanding. He cancels last minute. She says, it's okay, I get it. He disappears for days and comes back with a weak excuse. She lets it slide because he's going through a lot. He crosses a line and she justifies it. He didn't mean it like that. And little by little, she loses her power, not because she's not strong, but because she's afraid that enforcing her boundaries will scare him off. But here's what you need to know. The man who leaves because you have standards was never going to stay for the right reasons anyway. You didn't lose him by drawing a line. You saved yourself from months or years of trying to love someone who was never truly meeting you halfway. Men respect what you respect. If you let him treat you like a second option, an emotional convenience, or a placeholder, he'll settle into that dynamic. Not necessarily out of cruelty, but because you've shown him it's okay. Boundaries are how we teach people to treat us. They're not ultimatums, and they're not about control. They're clarity. And clarity is one of the sexiest things in a relationship. It creates safety, structure, and a deep sense of mutual respect. Let me give you an example. Let's say a guy keeps texting you late at night, flirty, but never making plans to actually meet. Instead of ignoring it and hoping he changes, you say, hey, I enjoy talking to you, but I'm not looking for just late night chat. If you want to make plans sometime, let me know. That's a boundary. It's calm, clear, and it respects your time and energy. You're not being aggressive. You're not begging. You're not chasing. You're just stating what works for you and letting the chips fall where they may. The wrong guy will say you're too much, that you're difficult, that you expect too much. The right guy, he'll adjust, or at the very least, he'll respect you, even if he's not the one. Boundaries are also about protecting your peace. If someone brings constant chaos into your life, if you find yourself in a cycle of anxiety, confusion, and overthinking, your boundary is not about changing them. It's about removing yourself from the chaos. It's about choosing peace over potential. And here's the twist: the more you enforce healthy boundaries, the more attractive you become. Why? Because boundaries signal that you know your worth, that you're not desperate, that you're not afraid to walk away from someone who doesn't treat you the way you deserve. That's magnetic. So next time you feel disrespected, neglected, or undervalued, don't ask, what did I do wrong? Ask, what boundary haven't I set yet? Because love without boundaries isn't love. It's a transaction, a performance, a slow bleed of your self-worth. But when you draw a line lovingly, confidently, without apology, you stop managing someone else's behavior and start managing your own standards. And that is the moment everything starts to change. Let's talk about one of the most subtle yet powerful patterns that causes so many women to end up heartbroken chasing love. Now, I know you might be thinking, I don't chase. I just put in effort. I show I care. And there's nothing wrong with effort when it's mutual. But chasing is different. Chasing is what happens when you start working harder for the relationship than the other person. When you're constantly trying to prove your value, earn their attention, or hold their interest. And here's the hard truth: when you chase love, you attract runners. Why? Because chasing puts you in a position of lack. It says, you are the prize, and I'll do whatever it takes to be chosen. But people don't value what's chasing them. They value what they have to pursue, what they feel they could lose if they don't step up. I'm not saying you should play games or be cold and distant. This isn't about pretending you don't care. This is about being grounded in your worth. When your life is full, when your days are rich with meaning, when you're emotionally centered, you don't need love. You're open to it. And that difference changes everything. Because when you stop chasing, you allow space for the right man to come toward you. Let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed that the more you give, the more they pull away, the more available you are, the more unavailable they become? It's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because energetically, they're not ready for what you're offering. And instead of matching your effort, they start running from it. The mistake is thinking, maybe if I give more, if I just show how real this is, how much I care, he'll come around. But all that does is convince him that he doesn't have to try, because you're already doing it all for him. Stop trying to convince someone to choose you. You're not a product. You're a person, a whole radiant, multidimensional human being. Love is not something you chase. It's something you attract when you're living in alignment with your self-worth. Here's what that looks like. You don't wait by the phone. You don't rearrange your life for someone who barely gives you a sliver of theirs. You don't stay up late obsessing over whether he'll text you back. Instead, you go live your life. You focus on what lights you up, your passions, your purpose, your friendships, your goals. You create a life so full, so rich that love becomes the cherry on top, not the whole damn cake. And from that place, you don't chase, you choose. You choose someone who shows up, someone who gives as much as they take, someone who doesn't make you question where you stand. And if they don't, you don't beg them to. You let them go, not because you don't care, but because you care deeply about yourself. This isn't arrogance. This is self-respect. And self-respect is what keeps you from getting played, from staying in situations that drain you, from giving your heart to people who don't know what to do with it. So stop chasing love. You're not behind. You're not too much. You're not asking for too much. You're just asking the wrong people. Lean back, stand tall, hold your standard, and watch what happens when you create the space for real love to walk in, instead of running after someone who keeps walking out. So let me bring this full circle. You don't need to become someone else to stop getting played. You don't need to be colded. You don't need to play games. You don't need to stop being loving or kind or open-hearted. You just need to stop giving your heart to people who haven't earned it. Once you understand how men think, how they connect, how they commit, and more importantly, once you understand your own value, everything changes. You start watching behavior, not listening to excuses. You stop waiting for mixed signals to make sense. And you start walking when they don't. You stop chasing potential and start choosing presence. You stop lowering your standards to keep someone and instead raise your life so high that only the ones who deserve a seat at your table can reach it. Because when you understand men, really understand them, you realize that the ones who are emotionally unavailable, inconsistent, or manipulative don't need your love, they need your absence. And the ones who are ready, they won't leave you guessing. They'll rise to meet you. They'll make it clear because you are clear. So here's your call to action. Go back into your dating life or your relationship and ask yourself, am I investing more than I'm receiving? Am I confused more than I am certain? Do I feel like my best self in this dynamic or like I'm trying to earn love? If the answer hurts, that's your invitation. Not to spiral, not to beg, not to try harder, but to step back, realign, choose yourself. Because the moment you stop entertaining the wrong men, the right one finally has room to enter. And trust me, when he does, you'll never have to question it.